From the News Channel 5 Network, this is OpenLine.
Hello everyone, welcome to OpenLine. I am Ben Hall. Tonight we're talking all about metro schools and their First Choice Festival. That's certainly a major topic we'll be talking about tonight, but also anything you want to talk about. If you want to give us a call, the number is 737-plus-615-737-7587. Talk about metro schools, the school year, how it's going. Happy to have with us two people from metro schools. Joe Bass, the External Communications Manager. Joe, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
And Chris Weber, Director of Student Assignment. Chris, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
And we'll learn more about what Director of Student Assignment means.
Sure.
But Joe, here we are. So we're a couple weeks in, a few weeks in actually, into the school year. How are things going? Where do you think we stand right now?
You know, I think we're having a pretty good start to the school year. We had a great start of school back in August. It went really smoothly. The usual bumps in the road that you see with logistics. But the teachers and the students seem to be doing really well. Everybody seems to be happy, and we're chugging along nicely, knock on wood.
So now you have an interim director.
Yes.
It's Chris Henson. What is the plan for a new director? Is there a plan? I mean, he's interim. Where do we go from here?
Well, that's all a board decision. The board is going to have to make that decision, and I think that they're going to get together for a retreat very soon and decide how they want to proceed with that. But you know, speaking from a central office perspective, we're very pleased that Chris Henson's at the helm. He's a nice, steady leader. He keeps everybody focused on the task at hand, which is serving students, and it's really just great to have him as a boss right now because he's really great to work for and really keeps you. Keeps at the center of your mind exactly what you should be doing.
So the board's going to have a retreat. It seems like things, he certainly has been director before. Is there any sense that, is there any reason he wouldn't finish out the school year? I mean, would you expect he would finish out the school year?
Well, I don't really know the answer to that. That would be for the board to decide. They'll decide pretty soon about their timeline for when they want to find a new director and how they want to go about that search and when they hope to complete it. But you know, Chris has been on the record saying that he will serve as long as they want him to serve. Like you said, he's done it twice before, so he knows what he's doing, and everybody respects him. And he's actually been the really great thing is he's been out touring the schools. He's been going out and just by himself, going to see the schools, look at classrooms, talk to principals, talk to teachers, and really see what's going on in the school. So he's very involved. He's pretty hands-on, but he says that he'll serve as long as they need him to.
And what is his philosophy as far as he's an interim? Is it just to kind of maintain? Does he have some initiatives that are uniquely his that he himself is trying to push through? Or what is his stance on that?
You know, if he has a strong stance, it's to keep focused on students. He is all about keeping the positive momentum we have going. We had really good growth in academic test scores that came in over the summer, and so he wants to keep that going. He wants to keep the momentum and just keep pushing us forward with what we're doing, and basically let people do their jobs so that we can keep that going.
So a report came out today in the paper talking about trying to reduce standardized testing. Where does Metro stand with this? This was a state report saying they want to do away with testing in grades below second grade. Where do we stand with testing in Metro?
Well, you know, the state is taking a hard look at this, and I think that that's a conversation worth having. The thing that I really would want to do is draw a line between testing and assessment. You know, testing is it gets talked about by conversationally and anecdotally. I think a lot of people think of bubble sheets and things that have consequences or high stakes tied to them, and that is certainly a conversation we should have. What is appropriate for children, and what is not appropriate for children, and what is too much. What often gets tied up into it is the everyday assessment that teachers do with students, whether it's pulling a student aside, asking them a few questions, just to figure out where they stand academically, if they're getting the standards being taught, and if they need extra help in some way. So you draw a clear distinction between those two things, and if you're looking at the high stakes side of it, I mean, that's something that we have looked at in our district as well. For the last couple of years, we've done a survey of all the tests that we give, decided which ones we don't need to give, which ones we still feel are important, because a number of the standardized tests are required by the state government. There are some others, a few others that we give that are not, and so we always are assessing them, taking a hard look at them and seeing which ones are still appropriate and if they're being used in the right ways.
That is one of those emotional issues. This says cut out standardized testing in grades K through 1. Has Metro already done that?
Yeah, we don't do that. As far as I know, we did a year, I believe, a year of a pilot of a test for younger grades, and we stopped doing that, I believe, last school year. And
then eliminating ACT prep tests in middle school. and increasing awareness for teachers about the realities of test anxiety. That's another thing you hear a lot about, that it makes kids anxious and it's difficult. Is that something Metro is doing, or what about that?
I have to give a lot of credit to our schools and our principals and our teachers, because around testing time, they are always coming up with creative ways to make the students feel relaxed and at ease and have fun. A couple of years ago, we did a couple of features on schools that were doing pep rallies, or they would have fun pizza days or pajama days, something around testing that was not only helping them feel confident about the test and confident and not that there was a lot to lose, but that they were having fun, and they still felt like they were valued and they weren't being pressured to do something on a test. They try to keep a relaxed atmosphere,
because there's so much at stake, not just for the students but for the teachers, the principals, everybody.
It's valuable to have measures of schools. It's always valuable to have measures of schools. Otherwise, how do you know what kind of progress you're making? But it's definitely a conversation worth having, and obviously the State Department of Education feels the same way, so they commissioned that report. And it just recently came out, and I know that our data team and our assessment team are taking a hard look at it, and they'll be working with the Department of Education, as they always do, to determine what is appropriate and what changes and adjustments we all need to make.
And the other thing, the last thing that it mentions here, is that they're going to start being more transparent, and that's a criticism we've heard. That someone will ask to see the test questions, and it's said, no, you can't even see the questions. And so parents get concerned, maybe teachers get concerned. This is saying they're going to start releasing the questions.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
Well, that would be a state-level decision. They set the testing, and they set the testing security. I will say that as far as transparency goes, the state law calls for information about tests to be posted, and so that's what we do. If you go on our website, MNPS.org, under there's a section called Academics. Under that section, we have a testing area of the website that lists the tests that children take, the amount of time they spend on them, the grade levels, the purpose of the test. It lists all that information so that parents can easily see it on our website.
This was saying that it will cost more money to release the test questions, because they'll have to come up with new questions. But I think some parents would be happy to know what some of the questions are. It just kind of pulls back that shroud. And so there might be parents that are happy about that.
Well, I'll be interested to see what the state does about that.
Okay. All right, Chris Weber, Director of Student Assignment. Tell us, what is Director of Student Assignment?
Well, our office is responsible for zoning and boundary planning, so we locate and help suggest capital improvements for where to locate new schools to address overcrowding and conduct the rezoning efforts to open new schools. But in addition to that, we also operate all of the school choice process. So one in four of the Metro school families actually attend an out-of-zone school. So out of those families, they all go through the school choice process, where we conduct a random selection process.
So those are two major things. And I'm interested in the overcrowding portion first. So what are the areas where you're seeing the greatest need for more schools and the largest level of overcrowding?
Well, if you think about southeast Nashville and the Antioch and Cane Ridge area, that's an area that it's very difficult to keep up with the growth in that area. But it spans all the way from southeast to where we've actually recently opened new schools. We have capital improvement to open another elementary school close to the Cane Ridge area, where we're actually pursuing land and have capital funding to build that school. We recently opened Smith Springs Elementary School. That's close to that area out there, close to Lakeview Elementary. In addition to that, we see a lot of growth in South Nashville. So whether like anything south of 440, whether it's the Overton or even the Hillsborough cluster. So this year we recently opened Waverly Belmont Elementary, which just reopened. It was a historic school that was previously used for central functions, that reopened for a school that's now currently, that addressed overcrowding for Percy Priest and Julie Green. The growth continues all the way to the west, though. So even when you look out in West Nashville, there's a lot of growth there as well.
So two new schools came online this year.
Yes.
What about next year? Do you think we'll have new schools come online next year?
Well, next year we actually have an addition that's going to open up at Glencliff Elementary School, and that will address overcrowding at Paragon Mills Elementary. But that's the only addition that will be opening up this next year.
Okay.
Unless there's something that's slipping my mind. Do you remember anything?
No.
Okay, good. All right, we're going to take a break, and then we'll come back. We'll start taking calls. Philip, others, hold on the line. We will take your call, take a break, be back right after this.